Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking a little bit about AudioRanger. It's a powerful and versatile music tagger designed to automatically identify and organize your digital music collection. It runs on Windows and Mac, and it has a free version, which is pretty much like the Pro version, except there are a few features that might make you wait a bit of time between doing things. But it's essentially the same thing. The Pro version is about $29, give or take, USD, and it has the audio file tagger. It goes through all that, and individual help and support. That's no, and it's free to try. And so that's pretty good. And it's free of ads. It's pretty nice. Now going back home to there, what it does is it basically, it can the automatic tagger updates, checks the websites for Music Brains and Acoust ID or whatever it is, and allows you to get the correct title, the correct artist, and all of that, and organize your files that way. Pretty nice. And it helps you organize and creates folders a certain way that is pretty interesting. I'll show you down here, is when you output from this, it can create albums, it can create people, collections within albums, it can create songs under those albums, and individually artist names. You create it that way, and that's not bad. It's good for your computer, not so good for your streaming service if you're going to be uploading to a streaming service, unless you go through FTP, and even then it's a bit convoluted. But I'll show you how basics of this works. And remove duplicate songs, or what it thinks are duplicate songs. Sometimes they make mistakes. And it really is a nice little program that gets your music collection under control. But once you got it under control, you can do a lot more with it outside of this program. This really isn't a playlist manager or anything like that. It really doesn't do that kind of thing. All it does is organize, check your audio files if they have missing or incorrect tags. It gets album cover images, and the file names can change too. But it also will consider already existing metadata, file name patterns, and folder hierarchies to achieve the best possible identification. But I'm going to show you some things about it. Let's go look. Now, this is on the AudioRanger Pro version. And here you can configure your destination folders where things are going to output and come in from or go out from. These are pretty much the same as import and export settings. And you can put your license key in there and a startup wizard, all that. Let's go to settings. And here we go, internet access. You basically set those up, check for updates, allow internet access. And the automatic tagger has the artist name settings, album settings, and all that in there. Go to the artist name and how it defines the field. Now it can the artist and artist album artist fields, use artist names as commonly written, The Beatles or Bob Dylan, or use it different ways, like Beatles, comma, The, Dylan, comma, Bob. Use the artist name as written on the album covers or track lists, The Savage Young Beatles or Robert Dylan. And we select how it's sorted and how to translate if it's got some spelling that's outside of your preferred language, which is mine is English, so it will translate and localize artist names. And the same thing with special artist names. Standardized artist name changes and all this other stuff. So now we go on to album settings and assign tracks to the original release album, except if they clearly originate from a compilation album. And for me, I'm always going to say always assign tracks to the original album. That's me. And you use original release dates. Whatever you want. This is up for you, whatever you want to do. Automatic capitalization. And you can define updated tags separately. They have a lot of different tags. And so you can select many. And to change tags, define the tags manually or use predefined update set, which is default. Update all tags when you use the automatic tagger in your country and preferred country and country, language and country. In your album cover, you want to download. You need to read third-party websites, bull stuff. But it's basically, if you do this, it'll download the covers. Then you get the front cover, the back cover, all this stuff. I just want the front cover. Preferred size, you can say whatever you want, 500 or 1,000 or 250. And that'll put it in your MP3 file or download it in that format with JPG format. And you can set your language and default. You set how many columns will be displayed within the main table. And there are more than this, but you can add them here if you want more. And the colors, how they look. When the color used for highlighting modified data, the color used for highlighting deleted data, the color used for highlighting search results, that kind of thing. And the menu style, use ribbon instead of the classical menu and toolbar. I've left that on. And audio file settings. Intelligent file name trimming. Trims unnecessary white spaces and punctuation from file and folder names when moving or copying audio files. This will make sure that your new files and folders are pretty named. I'll leave that on there. And your tagging settings. You have all the things you can set up for the different ways it will tag. I don't think, unless you're a power user, you're going to need to do a lot of this. Now it says write multiple artists to a separate field. Check that. It will show you at the top of the field, which won't be displayed. The other ones won't be displayed, but it'll show you the first artist, the second artist, the third artist. And I'll show you how that happens later, maybe. And tagging formats, all that. You can do pretty much anything here, but most people, you're not going to be doing this. Okay. And we finished setting it up. And that's all you really need to do with that. Now let's get into the down and dirty. I'm going to be working with files that I use for my personal music stream, and not my main files. So you can add files, individual files. You can add a folder, add folders, including the subfolders. And I'm going to go ahead and do that. And let's go to music. And I have music files sorted 128. That means it's 128 kbps. Now, the way I structure my files for uploading to streaming and things, streaming services, I break them down into artist names A through F, fall music, Christmas music, all that, because I don't want everything in the same folder. But let's just go through this. Highlight this, don't double click, highlight that, and say select folder. And there we go. Turn this off, but I'm not doing that. And when you want to use the automatic tagger, it'll do everything you need to do. Now, I have a very specific way I do my file name. I have artist name, song name, year, and genre. That's how I name my MP3 files. Always have, so I can see them on very quickly what I'm doing. But you don't have to have this. This is just something interesting if you're using a streaming service, or you just want to be able to see what genre something is or what year. If you're making a playlist, you don't have to actually go in and see the metadata to see this kind of stuff. That's my thing. So anyway, this is all blue, so it's selected all. Now we're going to run the automatic tagger. Will automatically identify and fix the tags of the current selected audio file. Click. And there it goes. 350 audio files in there. I don't recommend doing all your music at one shot. I would do some of it, because there's more chance of errors creeping in when you do too many files at once. I did 1,200 files at once one time, and it renamed some things it shouldn't have renamed. And we're safe here. It's not actually changing anything. It's processing. And let's skip ahead to the end. And there we go. And here pops up this notice. You can hide it, but okay. And everything is selected right now. All the files are selected. So it's showing blue. If I select one, just one, the blue will change to the colors that we saw in the setup. But I want to show you the edit. You can invert selection. You can undo these changes. You can copy and paste, find, replace, edit, where it changes, all that stuff. Album cover, download them, but you can do it here too. Get rid of them, select a different one, all that, if it's available. And it takes a while to download all this stuff, especially at certain times of the day. And then tools. You have all the usual stuff. And obtain the tags of the currently selected audio files from online databases, and file name tagger in the currently selected audio files from their file and folder names, which might be all right. Do that. And it can rename files and view tag editor, file browser, album cover, search results, all that. I'm going back, edit file. And I want to show you also, before I do that, configure destination folders. This is something, like I said, the this isn't well documented, this program. And if you make different folders to save stuff in, it will save in these things the destination setting. So if you change these things, these settings, like that, change something. If you make a new one, you can do that with next, select whatever you want. A, B, C. There we go. Identifies the folder. And say next. Use the default settings. And next. Okay. So here we go. So if I make a change to one or the other, I can select what I need to do. Okay. Once it's updated, all the tags, meta tags, and the album covers if it can, I always go back, and like I said, don't do too many at one shot because it's really hard to check on all of this to make sure nothing got misnamed. And it can happen because the Music Brains databases and the other ones don't always have the accurate data, and it assumes that a file is from a music file is from a specific album when it's not really from that particular one you have, or copy or version you have is not actually from that album. So you can go through and change those things. That's why I always name my file names like this, so I can get a hold of them and tell if something changed, like an artist. The artist changed to something else, then I know that this changed from Adele to Adele with Chris Stapleton. Her album was 30 for 30. They did all that. So I just go through and check. And once I've done that, I can copy to destination folder. I never say move because it'll move the audio files to the destination folder. And I don't want to do that. I want to copy to it. So let's go ahead and copy. That brings up which one I want to select it. I'm selecting that one. And I can select it as a default. I'm not going to do that because I want to be able to show you something else. So, in this screen, it shows you how it's going to look, how it's going to come out. It's going to make my sorted music files. It's going to make a subfolder, subdirectory under it called artists, and put in my artists. And then occasionally it'll have something like this, where it'll have an album. And disc 2. And what it thinks is that song that you have on your computer, that file was from that particular recording. So it assumes that, and that happens a lot. And it duplicates and all this. Checks for duplicates there. Ava Max. It's got an album. And has these. It assumes part of the album. And then I go into change file or folder name pattern. And this is pretty basic. Now I'm going to show you how this works. You go and select the album name pattern, how you want to use a simple pattern. a track number. You could select whatever, but simple name pattern. And you could use a separate subfolder within the destination folder. We'll create an artist. And even if you take that off, it's still going to make that. It's still going to become pretty much that. And a simple pattern name or advanced pattern name. And it'll create subfolders. And you can get rid of them or add different subfolders. It depends on what you want to do. And the same thing for the compilation name pattern. It'll make a separate folder named compilations. Any music file that it determines is from a compilation, it'll make that folder and put it in there. And you go back to the single tracks, and it'll do the same thing. And it will rename your files. Remember how I name my files? With the artist name, song, date, genre. It'll rename it to just artist and the title. And if I want to add, I can add other things. Like, let's go ahead and put a little underbar. I'll just hit space. Separator, and then I'm going to add something else. Basic tags. Let's say I want to release here only, and that'll create that. And when it makes the folder names, it'll make the simple pattern, or it'll make the other one where it puts it under artist. And those are the main ones you have to change. They pretty much want them to be the same thing. And it'll update the audio tags or whatever else. But keep the duplicates in a folder called duplicates. Now, I would never say delete duplicate files because you never know if they're whatever, but I'm going to put duplicate files in the special duplicate folder, but still organize, tag, and rename them. And I'm going to say, okay. And from here, I can process my files. Put it in the destination folder. There we go. And it's finished. And I can see my details. And I say, okay. And to remove them from the program here, but because I copied, I didn't move them, I'm safe.